Today is going to be broken down into two parts. Public speaking, leadership success, and then getting over the fear of public speaking. A few years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do what I just did. Up until a few years ago, I was inconsistent with my professional performance, often cynical, definitely defensive. I've been demoted twice in my career and told I would never reach senior management because they never saw me in the role. How does this make sense? I'm a 22-year veteran of the corporate world. I was a communication major. I still wouldn't have been able to do this a few years ago. I've thrived in the midst of a downturn economy. I've had more raises, promotions, and increases in job responsibilities than I could have ever imagined. I'm doing things I never dreamed of. I've written 2 books. I'm part of the National Speakers Association. I'm the official announcer at the U.S. National Toboggan Championships. Don't forget, if it's a fact, it's not correct. Why am I telling you this? Because it took me years to figure out, but I finally got it. I had to break out of my own painfully shy and introverted shell and improve my communication skills, specifically in the public setting, if I wanted to succeed as a leader. What I want you to walk away with from today is that effective public speaking is more about confidence than it is about communication skills. Public speaking is more than a lectern, a podium, a microphone. Public speaking is everywhere. Your ability to speak publicly effectively is not as hard as you think. The hardest part is to get past the I should change mentality to actually taking the actions to change. Public speaking is a learned skill. It is not natural. It needs to be refined. It needs to be honed. And finally, your credibility and your leadership success are contingent on your ability to communicate effectively. Whether that communication effectiveness is perceived or real. So part of public speaking is learning to be concise. I've had a reputation of being verbose and yapping. How many times have you sat listening to a public speaker drone on and on and on and on and on? How many of you, including myself, have found myself going on and on and on and on and on? It becomes distracting. You lose focus. You start messing with the audience's attention and focus. You've lost their attention. I want to share with you a story. My 10-year-old has been asking for a goldfish for years. We didn't want to be bothered with cleaning it and all the other things and responsibilities that go along with a goldfish. But somehow Santa delivered one for Christmas. 2 weeks later, we cleaned it to death. Apparently you can clean a fish tank too much. She had a fish funeral. There was music going on in the background. It was solemn. She had a friend show up, a 10-year-old with a tie and a suit for the funeral. All of us were required to give speeches. It was a sad occasion. Although she did ask me to write a speech back. It was a beautiful service. An hour later, we were wrapping it up. It was a winter day in Maine. and I had nothing else to do. So I was going to go up to the YMCA. So I said, is it all right if I go for a swim? That didn't help. What's the point of that story?
Choose your words carefully.
Choose your words carefully. What else?
Be aware of your situation.
Be aware of the situation. What else?
How your words impact someone else.
Words can impact. What else? Learn to be clear and concise. That would have taken me 15 minutes to tell you a couple of years ago. Learn to get to the point. Give the facts of the stories that are important for the audience. You let your emotions catch up to you. Your words get jumbled. You're not sure what you're saying. You lose focus, and all of a sudden you've lost the attention. You can't clearly send that message. That message is the only thing you have that's going to show your skills and get you to where you want to be to succeed as a leader. Let's give an example. Filler words. What are some filler words that are out there? Like, you know. My two recent favorites. Right? You understand what I'm talking about, right? Really? Really? No, really? Really and right are skyrocketing in cultural popularity. I want you to listen for those two words today, now that you're conscious of it. And just count the number of times you hear right. If you don't think that that's an accurate statement regarding credibility, let me share with you the story of Caroline Kennedy, who ran for the New York State Senate in 2008. In her first 30-minute interview on television, she said the words, you know, more than 100 times. Is it a coincidence that she dropped out of the race 2 weeks later? It's not. Your ability to communicate effectively and send a strong message directly correlates exponentially to your success level. How can you improve your communications overnight? Is there an app for that? Yes, there are. Go check out some apps. They're all over the place. Public speaking, communication skills, but that's not going to solve it overnight. You can't solve it overnight. The true application is human application. You have to be able to differentiate yourself. Opportunity seldom labels itself as one of my favorite sayings. Personally, I had to finally take the actions. For 20 years, I watched my feedback. It's all the same relating to communications. I didn't take the appropriate actions to improve myself, so therefore, I didn't get any better. I joined Toastmasters. I learned more in my 3 years of Toastmasters than I did in my 4 years of college as a communication major. Not because of the communication skills, trust me, I learned a ton in college. But what I learned from Toastmasters was confidence. This isn't to say everybody should and absolutely needs to go to Toastmasters. Although I do encourage it. What I'm saying is take the actions. Because that confidence led to many other things that were out there. It led to the books. It led to the National Speakers Association. It led to my confidence in walking up to somebody on the street and saying, do you need any help in the timing shack, the U.S. National Toboggan Championships? This led to many things that were out there. But you have to take actions. If I was to say to you, you have to come up here and give a 2-minute presentation, how many hearts just... If I asked you for real, I think some hearts would really gotta go. And it starts very simply. Stop setting these goals that are so far out of reach. And do something a little bit at a time. Let me give you an example. Time wasters. television, Facebook, LinkedIn. I can go on and on. How many of you drive to work, walk to work, do anything that you are more than 5 minutes away from work? Do it on your way to work. Practice the speech, practice the presentation, practice your communication skills. Work is 30 minutes away from me. I turn the radio off during commercials and I practice. Average is about 7 minutes up, 7 minutes down. I am practicing 14 more minutes than the majority of this country. Think about that. 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. To do something to make yourself better, which will give you the skills to succeed. Again, from the public speaking side, I want you to remember that public speaking is more about confidence than it is about communication skills. Public speaking is everywhere. Public speaking is not as hard as you think. Learn to take the actions, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Public speaking is a learned skill that needs to be refined and honed. And your leadership success is contingent on your ability to communicate effectively.